the stuff here. We are all one interlinking integration. With that, with they becomes us. Understood, Dove. I dream on many different levels, yes. Many different levels, and discernment between them is very important to recognize. While in dream time, doing this for some time now, you are alive because of consciousness. I shall say we are alive because of consciousness. Yes, we are alive because of consciousness. That conscious being that we exist as in these higher dimensions, bringing this energy into the singularity point of consciousness, making that journey all the way down into matter and being this body, expressing this body, this interdimensional experience. So we are the gatekeepers of time when we realize that time itself is a construct, and you can basically work directly with time and space, hand in hand, and by working directly with time and space, you're working with another aspect of yourself. So you get to see the intricacy, the flow of this, and the relationship of the interlinking. So now, time and space become wave-like, like a quantum wave, like a bubble that one can enter into and shift things and ascend and transcend things, because now you start to understand that time and space are just another perception level of your existence. And each one of us can tap into that through our own unique way, through our own unique biosignature of expression, which is very interesting. I understand this time and space I exist right now, and as well as I am where I am in our cosmos, within the universal consciousness completely. All good, and thank you, Dove. Awesome. The interaction levels in the chat room are increasing as well. As that intelligence interacts more and more energy is grounded, so you get expansion of this ascension energy that's constantly expanding through our interactions. So naturally what this does is this attracts, like, and in the aspect of that. But the funny thing is, in the idea of the law of attraction, if we look only at one experience as a negative, say, you're going this way and you're going that way, you're thinking this way, do positive thinking. Well, when you're doing positive thinking, and you're also going through these negative experiences, back and forth, automatically, if you think you have to do positive thinking, you're already in your own way. Because you're creating a charge on the positive side, which is imbalance, which in the negative comes back around just like that. So in the sense of understanding that the positive and negative, it's part of the package. It's part of it. So when you attract, you're attracting both positive and negative in that state, in the chemical state. Now, when you're in this pineal gland state, in this omnipresence, this infinite omnipresence, source energy state, you then attract positive, negative, but you attract it in its neutralization state, which means it's very stable. So the direction of your expansion can happen consciously. You're expanding consciously through this state of awareness. It's really interesting. Yes, it is funny how life works. Life is an interesting thing. And as we study it more and more, and we're just studying ourselves, putting ourselves under a microscope, we can see the inner workings and the outer workings and how they're interlinked to one another. We can look how energy is even fragmented. Because energy is created through fragmentation here on third density, and it basically creates distortion around you when you're fragmenting. And you're fragmenting into each moment. In an unconscious state, you're fragmenting energy into each moment. Not only are you doing it here in this particular timeline, but you exist in many timelines and you exist in many dimensions. Part of you is also doing the same thing on those higher levels of creation, which creates huge imbalance in the cosmos. These black holes are not just there because they're there. They're there because we are creating. There are so many human beings right now that are in an unconscious state on this planet. When they're in that unconscious state, they're creating all these layers of this unconscious sleep all the way up to source energy, connecting to the point where source energy decided to separate itself. So it has all that momentum behind it to go into that creation level. That's why everybody on this planet is so important. You're a grounding mechanism. You're a grounding mechanism for ascension or descension. You're a tuning fork for ascension or descension. You're broadcasting a signal 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And we break that down, it's happening every single moment. So one must be careful in the sense of being careful going into these different realms of existences. Because if you are basically in a chemical state, you carry a lot of emotional charge, and you start practicing magic, and you start getting into these different modalities, and you start doing these things, you're creating distortion. You're creating chaotic distortion. You're increasing this black hole around you, and you're not even aware of it because you get so into the technique of it all. You get into the ego of the technique of it all and what that stands for. And what that does is that just traps you back into this egoic spiritual mind consciousness, this construct that's gone up a new layer, yet you have your senses are opened up and you can do all these wonderful psychic things and all these things. So it's almost like you're diverted, your energy's diverted, you're going into one direction. It's like I'm expanding, I'm developing my powers. I'm awakening. But still, because you're still unconscious in the sense of being unconscious, that energy, because it's distorted, it's creating deharmonization across this planet. It's affecting everything down to the molecular level. There's so many layers of being unconscious and so many layers of being conscious. It gets very interesting as you start to break it down, because words, they can play upon themselves. They can be confusing at times. But it's the whole concept of 3D in itself, the 3D mechanism, the construct that's here, and how we can perceive based on our own perception level. We can look at one point and we can stare at that point. Or we can turn our head and look at another point. Or we can turn our head and look at another point. Each moment is a moment to increase your momentum in either direction. That's what's so interesting about the whole idea about the timeline, about future and past. Because within the future and within the past, you carry a huge amount of energy that you're not even aware of. When we think of the moment, we think of just the moment of, okay, my heart's beating right now, okay, it's beating right now in this moment. But in actuality, the whole universe is beating in that moment. The rhythm of the universe, the rhythm of the source energy to the highest singularity point of consciousness is beating. It's not just your heart. Your heart is the physical grounding point for you when you first focus on your chakra in your heart there. It's like the grounding expression. It has a harmonics. It has a beat that goes with it. So it's grounding. So it's a grounding mechanism that's taking place. When you focus on each chakra, you're grounding energy. You're grounding energy into this third density expression. And by grounding this energy, you basically create your reality. Each chakra has a different whole level of experience associated to it. It has its own unique way of expressing. It's tied to different aspects of your own experience. So when we start getting into that, when these chakras are in these deharmonization states, your whole reality is crazy. Even as a psychic reader or a psychic person, you're still disconnected. And you're always searching. You're still searching. You're still searching. And you stop searching when you realize that you don't have to search. You just have to exist. Within existence itself, there is no resistance. The moment you resist is the moment you stop existing, truly as who you truly are. Because then now you're building up these roadblocks for yourself, these blockages that you're putting up miles in front of you that you cannot see. And that's why the human experience can be so difficult at times, because it seems to be so difficult. We come here in this finite construct to begin with, and we're an infinite being. We're constantly feeding the finite structure, not even fully aware that we are. We're like a battery operating things because we have so much energy within us. But the moment you decode it, then you start to see the bigger picture here, the masterpiece of this divine plan that's being created by the moment. Ground, focus, center, keep balance, I find key, yes. Opening up talking and listening, when you go into talking